Amazing. So please, guys, welcome Kevin Eastman and Ciro Nieli onto the stage. Hello? Does it work?
Check. Hey, it's working. Hi everybody, thanks for coming to our panel, and I have to tell you that it was always a dream of mine to come here to Dubai. I was thrilled that Nickelodeon invited us, and we're having the best time, and it's all your fault. Thank you. Thanks for making us feel so welcome. Thanks, we've had just an absolutely wonderful time, and we really appreciate it. So, thanks you guys.
Yahoo! Hi guys, happy to be here. Hope you're having a good con.
Alright, so let's start with the questions. First of all, Middle East, you seem to be excited about it. How have you found it so far?
You know, it's been a question that's been asked a bunch of times since we've been here, and I think Ciro had one of the best anecdotes. You should take it.
Okay. Well, they've been asking us like the exact same question, like how's the Middle East, how's the con? We basically decided that if they were to blindfold us and put us in this building and take our blindfolds off, we wouldn't feel any different than we would in San Diego at the con. You know, so it's been great. Everyone's been so sweet and friendly.
Yeah,
it's incredibly friendly.
Being a geek is universal. We're all geeks and we're all happy to be here, and it is. It's like, I feel as welcome here as any place else. This is like, to me, it's like, when you come to a comic convention, it really is, to me personally, is the happiest place on earth. And I think for a lot of you guys that come here, we celebrate, you know, not just Turtles, it's Star Wars, and it's Star Trek, and it's Doctor Who, and, you know, Deadpool, and, you know, you name it. It's a really wonderful place to be, and it's great to spend time with all you nice folks. It's really super.
Just a show of hands. Is this everybody's first con? Oh,
first con. Awesome.
First timers. All right. Excellent. This is my 201st con.
200?
Probably.
I think people are really excited to have you here and we keep asking you the same question because we don't really get to do stuff like this very often. When it does happen, it's really mind-blowing for us. So yeah, we're honored to be in your presence, honestly.
Well, you know, San Diego Comic-Con has got nothing on Dubai. This is, you know, we're thrilled to be here.
All right, well, that's cool. So can we start asking you, you know, the tried and true question. Ninja Turtles, where did it come from, you know? Were you guys just sitting around the living room eating loads of pizza and, you know, having a bit of fun, and then that came about? Like, what's the idea? I mean, I mentioned this earlier, and I had heard there was a massive Daredevil connection in the creation of Ninja Turtles.
Yes, definitely in the origin. Well, you know, going back to the beginning, at least for me, you know, when I was the age of some of the young people here, 9 or 10 years old, I discovered Jack Kirby, and that was when I probably told my parents that this is what I want to do for a living. I want to be a cartoonist. I want to write, draw, tell my own stories. And my parents had this horrified look on their face, like, oh my goodness, he's never going to move out of the basement. He's going to be living at home forever. He'll never be able to make a living. This silly kid wants to draw comic books. And when I met Peter Laird, he was of the same mind. Jack Kirby was one of our heroes. I don't know if you know who Jack Kirby is, but he's the guy that with Stan Lee created most of the Marvel Universe. You know, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, all those characters. And he was a big inspiration. I always like to say he's the giant that I stand on the shoulders of. He's the one that inspired me to want to draw and tell stories. And so Peter and I met Peter Laird, and we teamed up, and we wanted to sell our ideas. So we did sample sketches and things like that, sent them to all kinds, you know, Marvel, DC, all the big companies, and we just got rejection letter after rejection letter after rejection letter. But we had the passion and we wanted to do it. And one night I wanted to do something that made Peter laugh, and I'm a huge fan of Bruce Lee, so I thought to myself, if Bruce Lee was an animal, what would be the silliest animal that this fast-moving martial artist would be? And I thought of a turtle, kind of a natural joke. And so I did this sketch. And actually the picture you saw before, that was actually the house that we lived in when we created the Turtles. And this is the first sketch, this is the first turtle ever drawn, way back in 1984. So I put this on Peter's desk and I said, this is going to be the next big thing. Ha ha ha. And he said, that is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. So of course he had to do a sketch and try to top some of the drawing that I did. So this is the sketch that Peter did. Changed a few things and of course made me laugh. And we, studio one-upmanship, I had to top his drawing. So I thought to myself, well, if there's one, why not do a superhero team? Why not four? And so I did this sketch in pencil. And gave each turtle a different weapon and that kind of thing. And when Peter inked it in, and I had the little comic book logo on the top that says Ninja Turtles, and when I inked it in, he added Teenage Mutant to the title, and we both then looked at it and said, this is the dumbest thing we've ever seen, so we have to do something with it. And literally we got up the next morning, and as I always love to say, we didn't have any distracting pain work going on. So we said, look, why don't we come up with a story that tells how the Turtles got to be the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And that's when we started working on the origin story of the Turtles.
And then you picked the names based on this painting?
Yeah, that's one of the most popular questions we're asked. Fans will ask me, who's my favorite turtle? And now the question that's being asked a lot is where do the names come from? And to me, it was, I probably was a big fan of history, especially art history. And, we were coming up with, the mutagen, the changed them into mutants, Splinter as the rat master. It's like, well, what do we call them? And our first thought was, traditional Asian names seems most appropriate. They're ninjas. But we said, oh man, we're talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We have to come up with something sillier. Doug, Bob, Steve, American names still wasn't funny enough. And so I blurted out, what about Leonardo, Michelangelo, and Raphael? And Pete laughed, and so that was the response. That's all we needed. And this was actually a mural I did. I graduated in 1980. When I graduated high school, I did this mural at my school. This was my homage to Leonardo da Vinci. So yeah, the names came from just love of art, love of Renaissance art in particular. Oh my God, look at that guy. This is me and Pete. The first issue came out in May of 1984, 32 years ago, and we self-published the book. I had $500 that I had saved up. Pete had $200 he saved up. We borrowed $1,000 from my uncle, who was awesome. And we had enough money to print 3,000 comic books. We printed 3,000 black and white comic books with a 2-color cover. And they premiered at this very tiny little show. It was more of a flea market in Dover, New Hampshire. And that's where the Turtles started. And just a fast 32 years later, I'm sitting in Dubai talking to you awesome people.
And since then, you've had, I don't know how many TV shows now, I lost count. You've had the original cartoon, the 2000s, the new one. You've had the 3 original live-action movies, a live-action TV series, another movie, another one on the way. I mean, how do you feel about that? Are you comfortable handing over your creations to other creators?
Yeah, what was really exciting, when we were growing up reading comic books, we were kind of used to the idea of when we were reading, say, Iron Man, sometimes you'd have a writer, an artist that you really liked and liked the storyline, and they would have another writing artist team come on the series, and you might not like it as much, but you still like the character. But we just liked the energy, and when we started working with other artists in the studio back in the day, we just loved the energy that, the creativity that you get from working with other talented people. And so after the comic book became a bit of a success, we had interest from Hollywood to develop it as a cartoon show, and that's where things were changed. Like when we did the Turtles originally, they all had red bandanas, and we changed them into the different color bandanas you're familiar with today. But we were lucky enough that we owned and controlled every aspect of the Turtles. So things that were changed and things that not changed, and the direction the Turtles took, especially in the early days, was what we approved and what we wanted to see the Turtles, where we wanted to see the Turtles go. When I look back, it's I get asked a lot, what are my favorite versions of the Turtles? The black and white comics that Pete and I did together will always be the nearest and dearest. My favorite Turtle movie is the first Turtle movie back in 1990. And I'm not just saying it because I'm sitting next to my awesome and close friend Ciro. The new Nickelodeon series is by far one of my favorite versions of the Turtles. It's
funny you say that because my top 3 favorite are the original Mirage, Black and White Comics, the movie, and then my show. So,
see, great minds think alike. No, I was really lucky, and as I had known Ciro before he got he started working with Nickelodeon, I was already a huge fan of the work that he was doing in animation, and he's a talented artist and talented writer. When he got the job, I was like, yes. And the direction, and Ciro could talk more about it, but the way he, basically sort of reintroduced, restarted, and reinvented the characters, bringing him into a mindset for today's audience was just thrilling in every way. I think they're funnier, I think the martial arts is better, and the detail, especially with the CG being the key element for what he chose to tell the stories, is fantastic. So it's awesome.
That's good. So, Ciro, speaking of the Ninja Turtles, did you grow up with the Ninja Turtles like myself? I mean, was it one of those shows that defined your childhood, or was it something that you kind of you really thought was all right?
well, Turtles was crazy for me because I grew up in the 80s, and comics where you would go to like a convenience store and they'd be in a spinner rack, and you would get them. I was buying comics when they were 35 cents. Then later, quickly, they were 60 cents. The idea of a comic book store didn't exist, but one of the first ones popped up not too far from my house. My mom was sweet enough to take me there like every few weeks. And I remember going in, I was 10 years old one day, and it was weird. It was as if someone took an old house, like a cottage, and the front room was converted into a store, and a little cash box. It wasn't really like a store. And I walked in, it was hardwood floor, it was all creaky, crooked house, and I remember seeing this as a kid, and it was not just 2 colors, which kind of blew my mind and looked different and striking. Not only was it Ronin, but it was oversized, and I remember I bought it with 6 quarters, and it kind of blew my mind. So for years and years, I was the kid at the playground at school that was like, you don't understand, Ninja Turtles is the greatest thing ever. The kids are like, what are you talking about? And I remember I would call, because these guys made the mistake of listing their address and phone number in the back of the book, so I would call them. They'd be like, when's the next issue out? It's delayed, I'm waiting for your book. And they would answer the phone. And so, it was weird. When the cartoon came out, finally I was like telling everybody, now you're gonna see, this is the greatest thing ever. And it came out, and I was like, I had egg all over my face. I was like, oh my God, what is this cartoon? They're silly, and they're not killing people, and what the colored bandanas, and they just eat pizza? What is this? So my love for Turtles is very pure, and it starts with day one from the comic that Kevin and Peter drew, in a very punk rock kind of way. It was so inspiring for me, and I tried to put that back into the show. In retrospect, as an older guy looking at the show and understanding nostalgia, I like that 80s cartoon. At the time, because it shamed me, I was vehemently opposed to it. But I bought the toys. I had the toys.
It's a bit like the Adam West version of Batman, where when growing up you were kind of like, what is this? But then, as an adult, you look back and you go, this is the Batman that Batman should be.
I love the Adam West Batman as a kid. That was my first love. I love that show.
So then, in that sense, since you kind of hated the original cartoon, you were, you could say, the original fanboy. And now that you've got your own version of that cartoon, how do you feel about, the fanboys today? The guys who grew up watching the original cartoon, like, were you scared of the backlash you were going to get? I mean, you essentially, you could have changed it too much and they would have been upset, or not changed it enough and they would have been upset. Like, how do you find that balance where you get to keep, the new kids happy and the old school fans happy as well?
I learned right away how difficult it was to navigate through the Turtle fan base, because and it's a testament to its popularity. There's so many striking different aspects of Turtles, and the fan base is very divided. Like, they're always feuding with each other. These guys like the 2K3 show. These guys think the 80s show is better. When I came out, they all hated me. So in a way, it was like, before they saw anything, just sight unseen, they were just like, no, there can't be, this is just going to be terrible. So in a way, like, I unified their Turtle fandom with their potential hate for me. But then shortly, a short time in, they started to kind of notice that I kind of really cared. I really made sure that I just kept talking about the Mirage book. Like if I could be true to the Mirage book, it kind of felt like it was something they didn't really kind of grasp, so they were cool with it. The biggest problem has been the 80s fans and the 2K3 fans. They feud with each other. The Mirage people always stand to the side and just like, let the children fight. That's the sense that I kind of got, you know. So, but as we've gone through, like I embraced all of it. Like I really, there's times where I will kind of pay attention to the 2003 series, and the 80s fans start to get kind of left out, and then vice versa. But now I think I wasn't really thinking about any of that, to be honest. Like because I really kind of embraced and kind of went with the idea that I was making a show for kids that had no idea what Ninja Turtles were whatsoever. You know, I really was trying to introduce this show to a group of a new generation. And the nicest thing that's happened is that those kids turned out to have parents that were my age. So I started kind of really bringing families together. The parents, you know, my peers have come out and just like, thank you so much. This is just, for me, that having this turtle renaissance and to introduce this to my kids has just been the greatest thing. So it's been very positive.
And it's funny, it's back in the early days when we'd do the signings after the first cartoon show came out, oftentimes there'd be a young person that would want an autograph, and behind them would be this parent with this really angry look on their face, and it would be like, because the kid's really excited to see you, but the parent is like, you can read their mind going, do you know how much money we've spent on those stupid Ninja Turtle toys? Do you know how many Christmas Eves I've spent all night putting together the turtle playset, or stepped on a Ninja Turtle toy on the way to the restroom? But these days it's been wonderful because it is like some of those original fans. You know, when a child discovers something and thinks it's cool, you know, you can't tell the child what's cool and what's not cool. And some of those original fans that when they were growing up thought the Turtles were cool, and now their kids are finding it today thanks to the Nickelodeon show. What you're doing, the kids are the same way. They discover it and they find something cool, and you know, we've twisted another one for life. No, and it's really special these days that it's become generational, and we get to enjoy both fans.
It's settled, it's like the show has really kind of crystallized and earned its place in the timeline, so I'm really happy.
Well, when we were talking earlier today, I was basically mentioning to them that the first Ninja Turtles game on Nintendo was probably the hardest game I've ever played in my life, and it really, really annoyed me, especially level 2 with the water. And one of the cool things Ciro was saying was, you know, they like to do a lot of references. Like, can you mention something about that?
First of all, that was the hardest game I ever played. I remember just like every day after school, my thumb's bleeding. And if you guys have ever played that game, you know that you really can't beat it unless you're Donatello, because you can crouch and just hit people in the head with it, the stick. But yeah, we like, there's the part where you have to swim, and it's the hardest thing, and there's like pink seaweed. Like, we put that in the show. There's all these things that we remember, like whether it's toys or the Mirage book or even the 2007 movie. Like sometimes we'll find one little thing to stick in there. The video game ranks really high for guys my age. Like that's the game. It was so hard to find. It took me like a month to get it. Calling every video game shop at every mall. I finally got it for Christmas. I freaked out. So hard. So pink seaweed, like electrified seaweed. So we put it in the show.
Yeah, that's what I love about the cool thing about by the time Nickelodeon and Ciro started developing the new animated show was, what I think you guys did so wonderfully is like you had the opportunity to create a new Turtles universe, but the Turtle universe was almost recreating or creating a platform where you could tell lots of different stories that you wanted to see, but you chose from the video games, the original Mirage comic books, bits and pieces from like you said, the movies and the early animated show. But by picking bits and pieces of characters from those different universes and kind of tweaking them, reinventing them a little bit, changing them up a little bit, but then being able to bring in new characters, like Tiger Claw and so many others. So it's like Ice Cream Kitty, of course.
Ice Cream Kitty's amazing. Do you guys, if you guys ever watch the show, there's a character called Ice Cream Kitty.
You know who Ice Cream Kitty is? We'll show what clip in a second.
I'm obsessed with like food mascot type characters.
Cheese-sickle, I need my cheese-sickle. Ice cream kitty, give me a cheese-sickle. Come on. Kid.
You couldn't really hear them for some reason, but the voice of Ice Cream Kitty is actually Kevin. So.
Yeah, they did like when at San Diego Comic-Con, they were showing some of the new characters you were developing for the next season. And before I talked to you, and you said you wanted me to, it's like, I want you to do a voice of one of the characters. We'll come up with some really cool, superhero guy, cool good guy, or some really bad guy. And then when you showed the Ice Cream Kitty clips, I was like, practically stood up in the audience and said, I want to be Ice Cream Kitty. And you were like, no, we'll come up with something else. I'm like, no. I just want to be able to wear a t-shirt to a Comic-Con and go, I am Ice Cream Kitty. And then I'll make my wife wear one that says, I'm with Ice Cream Kitty. But no, I love that character.
Yeah, Ice Cream Kitty. And the initials are ICK, so it's Ick. We call it Ick, Yeah, it's an unfortunate thing. It's a cat that was eating ice cream, but then Michelangelo poured mutagen in the spilled by accident mutagen in the ice cream. So the cat basically becomes. It's always screaming because it's constantly in a state of melting, and it's horrifying. So now the cat has to live in the freezer. But it's Mikey's favorite thing.
It carries around in a cooler.
And it came from this, when I was a kid, there was a place called Carvel on the East Coast in the United States. And they had an ice cream cake, and the character was called Cookie Puss. So that's Ice Cream Kitty.
So you've essentially turned into Stan Lee now. You're cameoing in your own creations.
Yeah, that was, that's always so much fun. Because actually, I did a cameo in the very first Turtle movie, and it was great. It was like it was down on set. We were spending a long time down there, and the director Steve Barrett said, "I want you to do this cameo." And there's a scene where they were setting up the garbage truck, which ends up crushing Shredder at the end of the movie. And so I go in to get makeup on. I get this garbage man outfit on. I was Ernie the garbage man, and I'm supposed to walk out with 2 garbage bags and see what's happening down the street, which is the turtles fighting, and then drop the garbage bags and run it back. So I'm expecting, a dramatic close-up, me like doing one of these. And so the scene was like, say the camera's set up here, and there's 2 turtles exchanging dialogue. Behind those turtles is another turtle, Leonardo, fighting about 15 foot warriors. And then about a mile down the street, if you watch the film, of course, now remember, I told my family, my friends, I did a cameo in the movie, and I can't wait for you to see it. So a mile down the street in the final movie, you see this little black shadow go like this, and then go back. It could have been anybody. So that was the first cameo I did but didn't do. And then I did a cameo in one of the new Turtle movies that came out last year, and we changed some stuff in the movie at the last minute, so my scene was cut out. And I just shot literally just before I came here. I did a cameo for the second Turtles movie, so knock on wood, maybe that one will stay in. So, but Ice Cream City is still my favorite.
Sorry, I can't get over the Teletubbies with the guns over there. That's hilarious. We're trying to be serious here, guys. Please.
I love the Teletubbies.
Those are awesome.
Sorry, so I was gonna say, the great thing about the Ninja Turtles, for me at least, has always been the sense of humor, the fact that we never take themselves too seriously. There's like the foot soldiers and Shredder and Krang and these supposedly scary bad guys, and then they're not. They're always goofing and messing around and ruining everything. And there's always been this kind of sense of humor and inside jokes and all of that. I mean, recently there was that Ninja Turtles Forever cartoon where it was the 1980s, 90s Turtles that met the 2000s Turtles, and I remember that one scene where they go back, the 2000 Turtles go back to the 1980s, 90s Turtles, and they're basically fighting a walking pizza, and I think it was like a ball in one leg, so just some bizarre stuff, and it really kind of messes with your concept of what history was. You always remembered it being really, really cool, and they were edgy and bad, and then you kind of go, whoa, this is a lot sillier than I remember. But I know that the success of this movie has prompted you to do another episode in the new show where they meet again. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, in season 4, the Turtles end up in space with Fugitoid, and it's this whole adventure. They're battling the Triceratons, and one of the places they end up going, rather than just being a different planet like in Star Trek, they rip through a dimension of time and space, and they end up in the 80s to the animated world. And then they grabbed the 80s to the animated Turtles that we remember, and then they pulled them back into the dimension of where this show lives, and back and forth and back and forth, and it gets faster and crazier. And even at one point, they actually all, like, the two Donatellos have to team up, and at one point they get ripped, and they get pulled into the Mirage comic book. So it gets pretty crazy, and it's, I think the title is Interdimensional Turtles, or Transdimensional Turtles, actually, I'm sorry. It's pretty good. It was really hard to make. It totally defied the way we usually make the show. So there's a clip.
What's going on, Professor? It seems to be some kind of hyperspatial transmat trying to hone in on 4 targets. That's not good. We're possibly in some kind of alternate dimension. I can't even see my own butt. Oh, they're us? Why does this sound so weird? You sound weird. Hurt yourself lately? You just like me, dude. Come on. Turn up New York City. Look at us. We're like more solid or something. Science fiction. Oh yeah! Come on, guys. All right, team. Let's do this. Turtle power. Enough with the turtle power already. Let's just go. Let's take this crazy down. Power sorry. Get him?
You actually got the original voices as well.
Yeah, it's all the original voices. That was so hard to make that was literally exactly what my nightmares were like for about 14 months. So
Actually, you know what's funny is whenever I hear that original song, that was then was incorporated into the new Nickelodeon version of the Turtles theme song. Do you guys know who Chuck Lorre is? Chuck Lorre's a TV creator who did Big Bang Theory, 2.5 Men, and Mike and Molly and stuff. Chuck Lorre wrote the original Turtles theme song. That was one of his first jobs at
Yeah, and I think he's the guy who does the talking on some of that stuff. Like he's a rude dude or a party dude who does machines. That's his voice.
That's his voice.
And we had to pay him. Like he's not rich enough. We had to give him a lot of money to use the music. It's crazy.
Crazy. It's funny. Little fact.
Like we looked at it, we're like, who do we have to pay for the money? We're like, Chuck Lorre? Really? Didn't I write that song?
Yeah. Doesn't he have enough money? We love Chuck Lorre. That was awesome.
It's fun to make that show. I don't know when it airs here, probably sometime in May, I heard. It's really good.
We're really looking forward to it. But I mean, since you mentioned money, I remembered when we were talking earlier this morning that when you said back when you had the early Ninja Turtles money, you owned a tank at one point. Could you tell us about that?
Yes. Long time ago. No, I grew up when I was growing up. I read a lot of war comic books. I like Sergeant Rock and Sergeant Fury. There was one comic I liked in particular called the Honda Tank, and it featured this M3 Stewart light tank that was haunted by the spirit of Jeb Stuart, a general from the American Civil War. And I love this comic book. And I met a company in Hollywood that actually supplied military vehicles for movies, Hollywood movies. And they had a tank for sale that was an M3 Stewart, and I actually bought it. And I used to drive a tank around my neighborhood. It scared me.
You would grocery shop in the tank.
You know, I was, it's one of those things, I always wanted to go down to the grocery store and grab, like, some eggs and milk in my army jacket. Right?
Do donuts in the parking lot.